Disclaimer. Do not send any type of harassment or negativity towards the creators that I review. This includes hateful comments, mass paying the creators, dislike spamming, and toxic videos about them. This video is for entertainment purposes, and even then, what I say could be wrong, so please take my videos with a grain of salt. Enjoy! Grab out your bingo cards, everyone! This is a 38-minute long paleontology video, and also we're just going to right away circle the title contains. These ancient animals scarier than dinosaurs. They're literally... oh my god. This is literally just paleo bingo, and just not even 1 second into the video, and we have to circle one tile. Just great. I don't know what sort of stuff is this random channel going to conjure up, but okay, let's just watch this video, sit through 38 minutes, probably over an hour at this point, because I have to review it, and I have to give my own commentary and all that.
Is there any adult-educated person on Earth who doesn't...
By the way, the first clip of this video is clearly a fictional animal.
Is there any adult-educated person on Earth who doesn't know about dinosaurs? Is there...
And we can also just circle the uses Jurassic Park / Jurassic World footage tile. Yeah, we're all just grab the bingo cards. Hold up. Back, guys. Oh man, we're literally 7 seconds into the video, and we have to circle 2 tiles, which is just not a very good outlook.
Any adult-educated person on Earth who doesn't know about dinosaurs? The first thought would be, there is hardly anyone who has never heard about them. Indeed, we learn about them as children, when we barely start speaking.
Well, we learn about dinosaurs, but they're just awesome, bro. Mainstream. We thought those dinosaurs were just cool action monsters that love fighting to the death.
Cartoons, toys, drawings, and then movies, videos, articles, even ordinary ads. The ancient and movies, videos, articles.
That is not a dinosaur. And that is literally AI generated, as you can see here. The text is absolutely insane. The text is just gibberish. It's ridiculous. Some of them seem like Cyrillic words, and
even
bro is using AI.
Ordinary
dinosaur world, you just missed us. Okay, this is legit.
Ads. The ancient lizards are often shown in the most surprising places.
Okay, these are animatronics.
As a result, the average city dweller knows more about dinosaurs than about a bird on a branch outside their window.
But problem is, birds are dinosaurs, so...
Are there many who...
More specifically, birds are sauropod dinosaurs.
Know what was before the dinosaurs? What animals lived 100 million years before them?
But you're not just talking about these ancient animals scarier than dinosaurs. It's a very broad subject. We can you can talk about stuff like, I don't know, a Smilodon. You can even talk about stuff like the Anomalocaris or something. This, you're just are you narrowing it down to, okay, are you just narrowing it down 100 million years ago? And spoiler alert, this guy's just not narrowing it down. And some of these animals are not scarier than dinosaurs.
Or what fearsome beasts lived 50 million years after them?
Oh, okay. Bro did not narrow things down. And also, these ancient animals scarier than dinosaurs. Some of them are birds, which are dinosaurs, so dinosaurs are scarier than dinosaurs, apparently.
We bet there are far fewer experts here. But there must have been some creatures living on the planet at those times, right? And
yes,
some of those creatures were scarier than the dinosaurs.
Or just looks weird. Looks a bit weird, and therefore it's scary, quote unquote.
If not in size, then in appearance. Today, you're going to discover what ancient fish had a bite force twice stronger than a modern polar bear.
This guy is using Goji Center music. Oh, okay. This Goji Center also uses this kind of music, so hype up their own videos.
What ancient bird had a wingspan almost...
This is literally AI generated footage from a channel of over 600,000 subscribers. You think that they at least have the decency to not use AI?
as large as an F-16 fighter jet. What monster had the body of...
Calls an animal monster. We can also circle that tile, as you can see here. Man. 1 minute and 27 seconds. 3.
a bull and the head of a boar. And many more interesting things. Ancient animals scarier than dinosaurs.
Okay. Let's see. This is the intro? Okay.
Dear viewers, please like and subscribe to our channel.
Begs for subscribers. Okay.
It's easy to do, and it will help YouTube a lot. Your likes will help its algorithms to select interesting content.
Not even 2 minutes. We already have 4 tiles circled, which is just completely embarrassing. You know that?
And make it more accessible. According to one of the most compelling hypotheses, the first life on our planet appeared in the ocean.
Yes. The first life appeared because of a bunch of inorganic molecules transforming to organic molecules, and then having a bunch of and then there is a spontaneous phospholipid bilayer just spontaneously appears, and then there we go, forming a bunch of callus, a bunch of enzymes and all that. Life. Okay, so the first one of this channel talks about is the Dunkleosteus, which they claim to have lived 100 million years before the dinosaurs. It actually lived around 125 years before the dinosaurs. I could be extremely wrong here, but I think I'm fine, I guess. It's possible that it also lived 115 million years before dinosaurs, but, you know, it went extinct 358 million years ago anyway. And also this channel pronounced Dunkleosteus okay, I guess.
The genus...
I won't call it makes a ridiculous statement, because it's just blatant. I don't want to make it blatant, so...
Dunkleosteus includes several species. We can talk not about all of them, so let's get to know the most formidable one, Dunkleosteus terrelli. Let's take a look at it. We have here an ancient fish with body, fins, and tail like those of fish living in the mid-water, not near the bottom. In biology, such fish are called pelagic. Fish are called pelagic. Fish are called pelagic.
Hold on. I don't really understand. I don't really hear it.
Water, not near the bottom. In biology, such fish are called pelagic. Fish are called pelagic.
Ah, it's a pelagic. Pelagic. Okay. Pelagic. Ugh.
Pay attention to the head of the Dunkleosteus. An expert would immediately notice that it is not a plankton filter feeder or other consumer of marine minnows.
Or could be? You know, Dunkleosteus kind of has to snap its jaws shut.
The size and shape of the jaws clearly indicate it is a dangerous predator.
Ah. Dangerous predator. Okay.
Of large prey. But the most interesting thing is that these intimidating jaws do not have teeth. A toothless predator.
Toothless predator that can snap its jaw shut. It's because... So, it's probably the exact reason why Hank just destroyed its own jaws when it tried to apply a Dunkleosteus jaw with its T-Rex bite.
It's hard to believe, but that's what it is. The sharp protrusions you see in the mouth of the Dunkleosteus are not teeth, but simply pointed edges of the jaw. Moreover, the shape of the jaw is such that the cutting edges are sharpened against each other when they clamp together. Not a bad design. After studying the mechanics and strength of the jaws of the Dunkleosteus, the scientists made two key conclusions. First, they found that the jaws could open so quickly that they sucked water in like a pump. This works well when hunting smaller prey. Second, they found that the Dunkleosteus had tremendous bite force. For example, calculations on a 6-meter-long Dunkleosteus showed a bite force of 4,400 Newton.
The 6-meter-long Dunkleosteus is part of the uses an outdated estimate. Basically, just to let you know, the Dunkleosteus is now just over 4 meters long in terms of 2024. Even this video was made in 2024, by the way.
989 pounds at the lateral edges of the jaws and 5,300 Newton, 1,200 pounds at the points of the central protrusions. For comparison, the bite force of a present-day polar bear is 2,570 Newton. That's half as much. A bit bewildering, isn't it? These weapons allowed the Dunkleosteus to easily deal with all but one prey. In a minute, you'll find out what this exception was and what role it played in the evolution of the Dunkleosteus.
And Dunkleosteus had to have a powerful jaw.
Now, let's find out its
Have a jaw that snaps extremely fast.
size, mass, and speed. The evidence at this point is contradictory, as the full skeleton of an adult predator has yet to be discovered.
Okay.
Some estimates put its length at 10 meters, 32 feet,
Which is outdated estimate.
and weight
3 to 4 feet. 33, what?
at 10 meters, 32 feet.
Ah, okay. 32 feet, okay. I misread that.
And weight in the range of 3 to 4 tons. For the late Devonian seas, this was the largest hunter. For such a solid size, the Dunkleosteus was fairly fast. It could swim at a speed of 32 to 40 kilometers per hour.
Ironically, this guy actually said it correctly because the Dunkleosteus was thought to be a slow swimmer, but as of now, it is considered relatively fast.
20 to 25 miles per hour. That's a high speed for marine life of the Paleozoic era. As the largest and fastest predator, Dunkleosteus was at the top of the food chain.
It was the apex predator of its time. Yeah, its environment, yes.
It preyed on amenities, sharks, plesioderms, and other Dunkleosteus. Yes, this is the very same exception prey we mentioned above.
Okay. There is evidence of Dunkleosteus fighting with other Dunkleosteus. As you can see here, this one over here, this specimen shows bite and puncture marks made by other Dunkleosteus.
Very same exception prey we mentioned above. The fact of cannibalism is scientifically proven and allows for a very interesting hypothesis. Perhaps the brutal introspective competition served as one of the main tools for the evolution of the species. The worst enemies of the Dunkleosteus were actually its brethren, so its defenses improved in this direction.
Does the Dunkleosteus also have to mate and all that? Now, it's going to have something, to try and reproduce. No wonder why the Dunkleosteus would live for quite a long time. Man, Dunkleosteus is just extremely common in this type of paleontology video. Well, it's probably as common as the ones in like Titanable or Arthropleura ones.
Note that in the 50 million years of the species' existence, it developed nothing to protect the back half of its body.
Except that the Dunkleosteus' entire body is covered in flesh. So, I don't know where you're getting it from. Okay. But, okay. This is definitely outdated, so we can also use an outdated model. That tile is going to be circled. Look at the top right corner. And that's it.
It has remained open. Hence, we can assume that this part of the body was rarely attacked, and the defense there never appeared in the process of evolution. Apparently, the Dunkleosteus attacked the victim's head when it came to assaulting its brethren. It's a rational tactic. It hit the victim's most important organs without the risk of a return bite to its unprotected part of the body.
Well, I'm going to assume that the Dunkleosteus, they wouldn't mindlessly attack each other. There has to be some sort of reason. Like, for example, a failed intimidation or something.
Thus,
or something else.
in the course of...
But they're not going to be mindless monsters with no self-preservation instincts, okay? Every single animal has self-preservation instincts. And they wouldn't really want to pick a fight unless absolutely necessary.
evolution, those
For example, a fight for a carcass or something.
specimens with stronger defenses of the head, the front part of the back, and the...
And also, not only fighting for a carcass, but also just they're both starving.
abdomen gained an advantage. As a result, we see robust and tight-fitting armor protecting these parts. They greatly increase the chances of survival in case of lateral and frontal attacks by other Dunkleosteus.
By the way, I think we can also circle the use as a model from a game, because we're literally using I think we saw Jurassic World Evolution clip. I think we saw a Jurassic World Evolution clip. Let's try and show here. From what I remember, there is, but let's see. Hold on. There it is.
Of the species.
This is literally a Jurassic World Evolution, as you can see here. Let's just continue.
Dunkleosteus. Of course, this is just a hypothesis, but it is quite plausible and recognized, and other alternatives are less convincing. For example, let's imagine that...
Oh, I don't have to scroll, because this is... I don't have to scroll back through the video, because this is... Bro, literally just showed Jurassic World Evolution model. Jurassic World Evolution gameplay. Hooray!
the Dunkleosteus preferred to attack from the tail. What would happen with this tactic? There are few options here. Most likely the attacked Dunkleosteus would try to wriggle out and bite the aggressor's tail. It's a very interesting sight. Two predators eating each other from the tail. Thus, attacking the tail of the rival, Dunkleosteus itself risks losing its tail. In any case, it would receive serious damage in response and most likely die. It is unlikely that such a method could have taken hold in the course of evolution. What else can we say about Dunkleosteus? Judging by the facts, it was the apex marine predator of its time.
Yes. There really wasn't anything else that could really compete with the Dunkleosteus.
And was in harmony with its environment. Accordingly, its extinction must have been associated with profound changes in that environment.
It's survival of the fittest after all. A new environment happens, the Dunkleosteus were not part of the fittest anymore, and then they just simply vanish. It's nature's way of eliminating
The extinction of Dunkleosteus at the end of the Devonian is associated with two peaks in the global extinction process. The Kelwasser event, 372 million years ago.
But the Dunkleosteus lived through 372 million years ago.
And the Hagenberg event at the Devonian Carboniferous boundary, 359 million years ago.
This is where the Dunkleosteus went extinct. And by the way, you're not really showing the Devonian Carboniferous boundary continents, as you can see here. These are just random continents from a random Earth-like planet, likely an exoplanet.
According to current scientists, the Hagenberg event put an end to the diversity of marine species in the Devonian seas. There is no consensus on the causes of the extinction. Various hypotheses are suggested, including such exotic ones as supernova explosion or asteroid impact. Also, there is a hypothesis that the growth of forests, the movement of vegetation from coastal zones to the depths of the continent, resulted in a lack of oxygen in the water of Devonian coastal ecosystems. It is easy to imagine the objections of the opponents of this hypothesis. It is impossible, they would say. The more forests, the more oxygen in the atmosphere. It's really so, but the point of the hypothesis is the decrease of oxygen in the water, not in the atmosphere. There was less oxygen in the coastal waters due to the increased mass of decaying organic matter.
Decaying organic matter with decomposers. Basically, just, I'm trying to explain this guy. This guy just said, there's a bunch of, oh goodness gracious, I already have a stroke. I already have a brain fart going on here. I don't know why, and I don't know how, but I don't like it. By the way, we already have 8 tiles circled, and one of those tiles could do a bingo. It's probably guaranteed, but I don't know for sure.
This was the result of the forests growing deep inland. They changed the structure and composition of the soil, enriching it with organics. River flow changed accordingly. River water carried a lot of organics and other substances that stimulated the growth of microalgae into marine ecosystems.
And also decomposers as well. It's more so decomposers. There's more algae because there is more nutrients, like whatchamacallit, like the phosphates and nitrates.
As they died and decayed, they took oxygen from the water.
Because of decomposers. And of course, algae also play a part in just sucking oxygen from the water.
The lack of
they're just part of the problem.
Oxygen first led to the extinction of lower links of food chains, and
wouldn't it start with the higher links of food chains? Because these are more, these are bigger animals that require more oxygen to breathe in. And so they would likely just die first, causing a bunch of lower rank animals to just begin proliferating, just destroying the whole food chain ecosystem after all.
then to the mass extinction of apex predators. In addition, sea currents may have changed during this period, and a large amount of hydrogen sulfide from deep waters entered coastal waters. The mystery of the extinction of Dunkleosteus is still waiting to be solved. Today, one thing is known for sure: a magnificent apex predator, perfectly adapted to natural conditions, completely disappeared from our planet. The hero of our next story, Doryaspis, also lived in the ocean depths of the early Devonian about 415 to 395 million years ago.
It only says early Devonian, so we can't really know for certain. But anyway,
Doryaspis was a jawless fish with an unusual body shape. Its remains were first discovered by Swedish phytopaleontologist Alfred Gabriel Nathorst during an expedition in 1882. 2 years later, the find was studied and described by British zoologist Edwin Ray Lancaster. He also gave the Doryaspis its first name, Scapehaspis nathorsti.
Scapehaspis nathorsti. Huh. Okay.
In the 20th century, a British geologist, Errol Ivor White, began to study the curious fish. He completed the classification of the new species, and it had to be named somehow. White noticed that the outline of the fish looked like a combination of a spear and a shield.
Basically, the dude is just reassigning this jawless fish a genus, a new genus, instead of a new species.
Taking the Greek names for these objects, he gave the ancient fish the name Doryaspis. Of course, we cannot
Which means spear shield.
say that this prehistoric fish was more terrifying than a dinosaur, at least because of its negligible size.
These ancient animals scarier than dinosaurs. Is this guy trying to prove that a Doryaspis is somehow scarier than a dinosaur? It's just really just personal preference at this point. It's just really subjective in what you say is a scarier. So we can't really circle talks about facts not relevant to the title. I'm tempted to circle it, but I'm just reluctant to doing it. I just don't want to. Because it's just extremely subjective when it comes to these ancient animals scarier than dinosaurs. What are scarier than dinosaurs? I have absolutely no clue. Is it Godzilla? You know, at this point, just say Godzilla is scarier than dinosaurs. Technically, it's not clickbait, even though it would. Godzilla is not a real animal. It's a kaiju.
According to available data, its length did not exceed 15 centimeters, 6 inches. Nor can we say today how dangerous it was, but it did look very intimidating.
It just looks weird. It's supposed to be scary for kids, right?
It had a strange body. The surface of the upper part of the body resembles a tortoise shell, and the belly is flat and smooth. The tail of the Doryaspis is long, flat, and thin, with spines on the edges. There are 2 long, almost round, bony protrusions extending from the sides of the body.
Okay.
In some species, the protrusions resembled fins or wings and had serrations along the edges. The purpose of these outgrowths is unknown. Perhaps they helped
Intimidation.
the fish to float,
And also, perhaps they help the fish to float. Okay, you got a point there. Let's see. It's because of aerodynamics and reducing the resistance
and balance
It's basically just physics at this point.
in the midwater. However, their shape is far from that of a wing, so this hypothesis is not widely supported by paleobiologists.
Oh, okay.
According to other versions, the lateral protrusions serve for species recognition and also as a specific tool for digging up silt. And also species recognition.
Yeah, this is another AI-generated video, as you can see here. As you can see, these videos that have those rocks that move just inconsistently. Some of them just appear out of nowhere. And, yeah, this is just trademark AI.
As a specific tool for digging up silt.
Bro thought they were getting away with it.
And also as a specific tool.
Because it's a somewhat static image. It's a somewhat static video.
For digging up silt. It is difficult to assess the plausibility of these options because it is still not clear what mode of life Doryaspis had. It is not proven that this fish was pelagic, that is, lived in the midwater, but there is no evidence that it lived in the sediment area either. It is difficult to determine the function and purpose of any part of the body of an unusual fish unless we know how and where this fish lived and
where did that fish live? Spitsbergen. This is Svalbard, so
how and what it fed on. This is not good for science, but you can give free rein to your imagination. Try to suggest your own version of the purpose of the lateral protrusion. Who knows?
It's basically just another way of saying, hey guys, I'd like you all to comment on the video to... okay.
Maybe your...
And of course, what is that tail? Ugh. Bro said it's supposed to be long, flat, and whatchamacallit. This is not flat. Look at this. This is much scalier and much more armored than it should be. This looks like a pangolin, man.
Your hypothesis will push science forward. By the way, in the case of Doryaspis, this is not the only area for your hypothesis. The point is that the situation with the purpose of the central spike...
Actually, never mind. That's Doryaspis arctica. And yeah, this is definitely Doryaspis arctica, as you can see here. Ah, never mind. So these are actually fine. And these models, this model over here is kind of not great. This one is definitely even more wrong. Sorry about that, guys.
Our hypothesis will put
fine.
There is no unanimous opinion as to what Doryaspis needed it for, or how it was used either. It is noteworthy that, unlike in the case of modern fishes, the spike is located under the mouth, and this is quite rational. The fish could throw up the bottom sediment with the spike. Thus, the fish immediately got all sorts of things thrown up from the body before its eyes and mouth. If there is something tasty, it could be quickly devoured. Remember that in the cruel world of natural selection, eating faster means being more efficient and having a better chance of survival. There is logic in such an explanation, but again, it all comes down to the lack of data.
All comes down to the lack of data. Paleontology, just the whole thing. This creature is still not very well known. So thanks for bringing in an underrated creature, which it's basically just Origins Explained at this point, except there's no text blasting from the video. At least, not to the same degree of Origins Explained.
What if Doryaspis was actually a pelagic fish that lived not on the bottom, but in the mid-water? Then the whole reasoning is useless. Unfortunately, there are far more questions than answers. We know too little about this strange fish. We believe that the main discoveries on Doryaspis are yet to come. The subject of our next story is also partly connected with the evolution of life on Earth. In this story, we will present you not just one, as usual, but two ancient creatures, Mesosaurus and Mosasaurus.
Mesosaurus, okay? I'll leave that alone. Mosasaurus. Did no one even bother to check if there's an S or not? Did they? Okay, I have two hypotheses for it. First, it could be that the fact that this rectangle over here is a bit too short to fit in the S. Or the other one, they just forgot to put it. They just forgot to type in the S. I feel like it's the former because the U in the Mosasaurus, both of them, they don't seem... Their shapes are quite a bit different. As you can see here, the latter U is it's just way more asymmetrical than the former U. So
their names are very similar, which sometimes leads to confusion, despite the fact that these predators were very different from each other.
The reason, this is literally the entire reason why the Mosasaurus and the Mesosaurus were both just grouped together. It's because their names are similar.
In addition to external differences, one of them is also famous for its special role in science. Further, you will learn which one of them has helped science and how. So let's talk about Mosasaurus.
Forgot the U once again. As you can see here, there's supposed to be another U between the R and S.
It was a very large sea predator.
Okay, not calling it a dinosaur, that's fine.
It is classified as a reptile from the order Squamata.
Okay.
Family Mosasauridae, genus Mosasaurus.
It's actually... The Mosasaurs are actually more closely related to snakes than anything.
According to this classification, 5 species of Mosasaurus are known today. We describe the species Mosasaurus hoffmanni, and everything that will be further described about Mosasaurus is about it. Mosasaurus lived in the Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic era, about 145 to 66 million years ago.
The Mosasaurus actually lived around 82.7 to 66 million years ago. So 145 is just a great misconception. I can't really call it a ridiculous statement, though. It's just a regular old misconception. When stuff is just blatantly ridiculous, like some of Brightside's claims, some of Jurassic Fight Club's claims, then we can actually certainly make a ridiculous statement titled, but nope.
Fossilized traces of their existence have been found on all continents, including Antarctica. They inhabited warm, shallow seas that were widespread in the late Cretaceous. These ancient sea lizards were warm-blooded, viviparous, with a high metabolic rate. An adult Mosasaurus could exceed 10 meters, 32 feet in length, and weighed up to 70 tons.
Of course, I had to jinx it. Bro had to make a ludicrous, baseless estimate of 70 tons in mass, and look at the 10 meters as well. It's going okay. I won't deny 10 meters could be shorter Mosasaurs, but 70 tons. Where did you get that from? Jurassic World? What even is this, man? We already have a bingo now. We already have a bingo, guys. And we also circled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 tiles, and we have 1 bingo. I don't know how many more bingos is this gonna have.
Their average lifespan was about 42 years. Mosasaurus fed on bony fish, cephalopods, sharks, and marine reptiles. Sea turtles were its main prey. In the last 20 million years of the Cretaceous period, Mosasaurus...
But the problem is, Mosasaurus did not live for 20 million years. Mosasaurus lived for around like 16 to 17 million years.
...prey. In the last 20 million years of the Cretaceous period, Mosasaurus drove out all their competitors represented by large mackerel sharks, the last pliosaurs, and earned the title of the top sea predator of their time.
You really had to forget a fellow mosasaur, huh? Yeah, the Tylosaurus is just crying in the corner after you said that. Just great. Just great. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, I won't deny that the Mosasaurus is an apex predator.
Top sea predator.
Is an apex predator of its environment, but can you just give Tylosaurus some attention as well? Tylosaurus deserves better than this.
Of their
should I just circle makes a ridiculous statement at this point? I probably should. Actually, no.
Time.
Since Mosasaurus was an apex predator.
Mosasaurus became extinct about 66 million years ago, along with dinosaurs and petrosaurs in a mass extinction.
Pronounces a creature wrong. Petrosaurs. Are you serious right now?
At the end of the Cretaceous period.
Are you actually kidding me? Oh my goodness gracious. What even is this video now? This video is just getting worse and worse. The more we just, oh my god, the more we go through it, it's just getting worse.
As apex predators, they significantly influence the evolution of many sea animal species. Notably, the evolution of Mosasaurus gives us useful information about another interesting process. We know that the ancestors of the Mosasaurus lived on land, so the evolution of this predator helps us understand how the transition of a reptile group to an aquatic habitat occurred.
Okay, an aquatic habitat. Now we're talking about the Mesosaurus, right? It's supposed to be the... Is the Mosasaurus supposed to be... that thing contribute a lot to science. It's very, very important. Okay. Let's just go through it, I guess.
Now let's talk about Mesosaurus. Mesosaurus fossilized remains have been found in early Permian sediments. These sediments were formed 299 to 271 million years ago, so scientists believe that Mesosaurus lived in this period.
Okay, it lived in the Ciceralian period.
It had neither
not Ciceralian period, Ciceralian age, epoch.
impressive size nor weight. It was only about a meter, 3.3 feet long, and it fed on small crustaceans and other minnows.
Once again, another AI-generated video of, look at those cartoonish, sad ammonites, man. This ammonite looks like it belongs in Hollow Earth. Look at that ammonite. This yellow one? This is literally just Hollow Earth ammonite at this point.
A seemingly unremarkable, humble saurian, but it played an important role in the history of Earth science.
Bro really thought they could get away with using static footage, using relatively static video. I see you using AI. This is not how you go about it, guys.
But it played an important role in the history of Earth science.
Man, these AI-generated videos are just getting more and more cursed.
An important fact was that Mesosaurus lived in fresh water. It could not stay long in salt water, respectively, it could not cross the ocean. Another important point, Mesosaurus appeared almost simultaneously in South Africa and South America. The German meteorologist Alfred Wegener drew attention to these details. Knowing that Mesosaurus could not cross the ocean, Wegener decided that Africa and South America were once a single whole. On this basis, he proposed a theory of the continent's origin as a result of the splitting of an early supercontinent to several parts. Wegener published his hypothesis in 1912.
There's plate tectonics at this point.
Later this
I think this is widely accepted. Tectonic plates. There's Pangea, and then Pangea broke up.
idea, after thorough revision, turned into the modern theory of tectonic plate movement. This is how Mesosaurus from ancient times influenced modern science in a very unexpected area. This is its role in science, which we promised to tell you about. You have to admit, we have a lot to commend the humble freshwater lizard for.
Is this guy just held at a higher regard than the Mosasaurus? Okay. Mesosaurus, I've never heard of Mesosaurus before, so props to this guy once again. At the same time, it's just Origins Explained at this point. Origins Explained with a fresh coat of paint. Did it rhyme? Unintentionally? I don't know. But I'm not going to try and investigate.
Now, let's move from the ocean to land and get to know amazing and fearsome creatures that lived after the dinosaurs. In the late 1880s, paleontologists Carlos Ciriaco Amenguino and Francisco Pascaccio Moreno reported to the world the existence of Phorusrhacidae,
which are dinosaurs. So, dinosaurs are scarier than dinosaurs, apparently. Okay. This is turning out to be a worse paleontology video than I thought.
ancient flightless birds. This fact led to the realization that the entire history of flightless birds is like an iceberg. The few species that live now, history of flightless birds is like an iceberg.
Evolved from avian ancestors, which evolved from, evolved from non-avian dinosaurs. Avian dinosaurs evolved from non-avian dinosaurs after all. Look at all these dinosaurs.
The few species that live now are just the tip. Most of this iceberg is hidden in the past, and part of the hidden history was the giant Phorusrhacidae, which
Why don't you talk about something like the Kelenken? Or something else like that. Or even the Titanus. Just give these other two a bunch of attention instead of just sticking with Phorusrhacidae.
Appeared in the Paleogene after the extinction of the dinosaurs. In total, there are about 20 known species of them. Phorusrhacidae roamed South America about 62 million years ago, until the mid-Pleistocene about 1.3 million years ago.
You serious?
Ah, so are you talking about just terror birds in general? They lived just 43 to 0.1 million years ago. Phorusrhacidae lived 20 to 13 million years ago. This is not even Phorusrhacidae at all. Oh god, what? This is just... Are you actually kidding me right now? You can also just say, uses a ridiculous estimate. We can't really call it a statement, because this is... We're using numbers. We're just using... If it's using numbers, it's an estimate, so...
An adult Phorusrhacidae reached 2.5 meters, about...
So, once again, we're using Jurassic World Alive. This is Jurassic World Alive, as you can see here. I played this game. I'm still playing it, but not as active as before. But, like, this is just... I know this is from Jurassic World Alive.
About 8 feet in height and weighed 150 kilograms, 330...
150 kilograms. Where's the W? Where's the W in this? It's 130 kilograms. It's nearly 2.4 meters tall. This is just... Why?
Pounds on average.
This is genuinely one of the dumbest paleontology videos that ever came in 2024.
It had a large head and a bulky beak flattened on the sides. The end of the beak had the shape of a large hook. The ancient bird leaned on powerful legs with large claws on its toes. These details unambiguously indicate the predatory mode of life of these birds.
Of course.
Thanks to their long, muscular legs, Phorusrhacidae were able to stalk and chase their prey long and efficiently.
But that's not really a Phorusrhacidae, as shown here. This, judging from this head, it looks actually more like a Kalankin.
Were able to stalk and chase their prey long and efficiently. They were key predators in South America during its long geographic isolation. About 2.7 million years ago, North and South America united. The faunas of the continents began to blend, and the Phorusrhacidae gained competitors.
Phorusrhacidae. Is called Phorusrhacidae, by the way. Okay. To be fair, though, this guy is not blatantly mispronouncing it like Sarcosuchus, scary tourist, but this is just not a very good pronunciation at all.
The invaders were stronger, so the local predators lost to them.
Actually, we can now just circle talks about facts not relevant to the tile, because we're supposed to be talking about these ancient animals, why they are scarier than dinosaurs, yet we're just talking about random fun facts that have nothing to do with the title itself.
And gradually became extinct. One of the Phorusrhacidae, Titan's Wallery,
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
Did you even bother trying at all? Oh, God. This is just... I have no idea what to say anymore. This is just outrage. This is just outrageous. This is just no. This is... Oh, my God.
tried to escape. This species made it to North America on foot. But even there...
We have circled 12 tiles by... No, wait, no, not 12 tiles. We have circled 11 tiles. Sorry about that. 11 tiles in paleontology bingo, and...
Cruel fate.
It's terrible.
Befell it. The remains of this species were found in the south of the USA. Today, Phorusrhacidae is of interest not only as a bird that lived millions of years ago. This species is of great value as a result of development in isolation. One must
Okay, I don't think this guy mentioned Megalodon yet.
agree that a bird that abandoned flying is an interesting evolutionary experiment. There are
It's supposed to walk, it's supposed to run fast and try and hunt down fast prey. So that's evolution for you. And, you know, it's natural selection.
still debates about the reasons for this, and they may have a very interesting conclusion. The fact is that natural selection plays a major role in evolution.
Yeah. It's just survival of the fittest. Everything, it's just go for Darwin's method of Darwin's evolutionary stuff.
In a highly simplified form, it works as follows. Features that are useful for survival and reproduction are strengthened, while harmful ones eventually disappear along with their bearers.
Yes. And so the beneficial traits as a result of mutations, and as a result there's more hereditary traits. There's a lot of variation. Those traits that benefit the creature survive. Have a higher chance of surviving and reproducing, causing them to become the mainstream, basically.
They simply die out. The main mechanism here is random mutations, due to
Correct.
which features appear or disappear.
Correct.
And natural selection only reinforces the successful version.
Correct.
The role of natural selection in evolution is well known. So the question is, what was wrong with Phorusrhacidae?
Stop! Oh my God! Stop trying to mispronounce. This guy is literally deliberately trying to mispronounce the Phorusrhacidae at this point.
We know for sure that it had no competitors, which would have caused it to give up flying. So why did its wings diminish greatly in the course of evolution?
Hunting fast prey. That's really the only thing that I could come up with.
Why did it stop flying?
It had to.
It wasn't
Mutations.
easy to
fast
find a
prey.
reason, but it was found. It has to do with the behavior of these huge birds. They didn't need to fly to find food, to reproduce effectively. They didn't want to fly just to admire the terrain from above.
This is just unintentionally hilarious, and also an extremely ridiculous reason to try and evolve to fly.
Flying may be a pleasant activity, but it is very energy consuming and potentially risky.
Okay.
The last two arguments were decisive and gradually led to the Phorusrhacidae to give up flying completely. The wings of the Phorusrhacidae remain
Once again, another AI-generated footage. Sometimes this channel actually uses some good paleodocs, like walking with beasts. Other times, from what I remember, they used Clash the Dinosaurs one time, was just not good. Bro, it's just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. I mean, some do stick, like walking with beasts, so...
but gradually shrank to a size useful in an exclusively terrestrial life. Natural selection, of course, did not disappear. It helped the flightless bird to get powerful legs and other features that allowed it to excel without flying. Phorusrhacidae became extinct around the middle of the Pleistocene, about 1.3 million years ago.
Correction, 13 million years ago.
Their closest present-day relatives are sirenias, two species of land birds of prey in South America. Their long, slim legs are only a faint echo of the former glory of their mighty ancestor.
Okay.
The
Are they even
biography
ancestors?
of Phorusrhacidae tells
Okay, I'm guessing this pronunciation is acceptable here. Phorusrhacidae. This is actually a fine pronunciation. It's a bit better, but I'd still call it Phorusrhacidae.
tells us that after the dinosaurs, the birds managed to adapt to a purely terrestrial life.
Some birds just evolved, and some birds just continued to fly. Alright? After the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs, dinosaurs are still around even after the KBG extinction event. It's just that every single dinosaur after the KBG extinction event are avian dinosaurs, aka birds. And Phorusrhacidae is just amongst one of them.
And there were even territories where they ranked as the dominant predators. This is certainly an amazing transformation. But you're probably wondering, what happened to the sky? Did all descended to the ground, and the sky stayed empty after the pterodactyls became extinct?
Pterodactyls. No. Honestly, I don't know if I can even continue watching this video. Makes a ridiculous statement. This is literally it, man. I'm willing to bet that a lot of birds, they can still fly, like, oh man, what even is this?
Now you'll learn who got the reins of the sky after the flying lizards. Meet Argentavis. According to modern data, Argentavis lived in the territory of modern Argentina during the Miocene epoch, about 23 to 5.3 million years ago.
Which covers the entire Miocene, which is just ridiculous. The Argentavis lived just during the late Miocene, 9 to 6.8 million years ago.
This means that in terms of time and place, its biography overlaps with the biography of the hero of our previous story, Phorusrhacidae.
What the bloody hell was that?
Argentavis was about twice the size of the largest flying bird of today, the Andean condor.
Size is determined by mass. In terms of biology, size is determined by mass, not length.
Argentavis had a wingspan of about 7 meters, which is only 3 meters less than that of the famous F-16 fighter. In terms of size, it could have rivaled the Pterasaurus, but those...
What in the world is this madness? This is just getting absolutely ridiculous, man. Seriously. The wingspan of the Argentavis could rival some pterosaurs, of course, like the Pteranodon. However, when it comes to others like the Quetzalcoatlus and Hatzegopteryx, you know what? We're just going to circle the makes a ridiculous statement tile. I don't care at this point. We've got 2 bingos now. Hooray! And, there's a possibility we can make it 3. There's only 4 tiles that are not circled.
It died out long before its appearance. Argentavis weighed between 70 and 72 kilograms, 154 and 159 pounds. The height or distance from the ground to the top of the standing bird reached 180 centimeters, 6 feet.
Okay.
Just imagine yourself.
Bro also used Jurassic World Alive once again.
180 centimeters, 6 feet. Just imagine yourself next to such a birdie. You've probably started to wonder how such a giant even took off. How high and how long could it fly? Research in this area has led to interesting conclusions.
By the way, the Argentavis is the largest flying bird to have ever lived. And it does not have the longest wingspan. That tile belongs to Paleontology sandersi.
It turns out that the pectoral muscles, and this is the main power machine of flight, of Argentavis were smaller than those of other flying birds.
Oh. Oh, man. This is ARC once again. Why are you using ARC? Out of every single thing, why are you using ARC? Is it because ARC has Argentavis? Okay, fair enough. But ARC is definitely super awesome, bro.
In percentage terms. This means only one thing. Argentavis could not stay in the air for long, continuous flapping its huge wings.
Okay. It used flapping flight only during short periods.
Likely.
So, It spent very little time flapping its wings. It's just a soaring bird.
Argentavis relied on air currents and flapped its wings only during the takeoff and landing phases.
Once again, another AI generated. Oh man. Seriously? Oh, Jesus. Gosh. It flew mainly by soaring, so.
Thus, the large wings helped it to stay in the sky as long as necessary, relying on the rising air currents. In addition, such wings made it possible not only to soar in the sky, but also to fly effortlessly in any direction. To do this, Argentavis gained altitude in the rising currents and then glided down in the desired direction. As a result, Argentavis could fly long distances with almost no wasted energy. This is an extremely energy-efficient type of flight that is used by glider pilots today. Takeoff was the most difficult task, as it...
Once again, another AI-generated video. How many more of those AI-generated videos are there?
Huge wings inevitably touched the ground as it flapped. It probably relied on air currents here as well. It could run towards the wind so that lift force was generated and then use its strong legs to jump up into the air. Argentavis might also have used a jump from the top of some hill to take off. Now it's time to understand why it flew. I hope none of you have been confused by this question. Apparently, it flew to get food. And
Of course, Captain Obvious. It flew to get food. If it did not fly, how could it get food? It's not a Phorusrhacidae. Oh my god. I genuinely hate this. I genuinely hate this video so much. This already has 12
and
tiles
scientists
circled.
have found out
This already has 12 tiles circled. I'm not exaggerating.
what kind of prey it was looking for. It is recognized that Argentavis was carnivorous, but it was not an active predator. That is, it did not attack and kill. It had an inappropriate body shape and relatively weak pectoral muscles for this purpose.
What do you mean inappropriate body shape? It kind of sounds wrong out of context, don't you think?
The most likely behavior for Argentavis was that of a scavenger. The life of a
I mean, Argentavis is a vulture, so...
scavenger is much more relaxed, and success there is achieved through fewer energy waste. As for competitors, they were small mammalian scavengers unable to confront Argentavis due to its size. It is not difficult to answer the question of who provided it with prey. Let's just remember that the main predators of Miocene South America were flightless birds, Phorusrhacidae, which we have just described. They could easily destroy large prey, and perhaps it was these predators that provided the large amounts of carrion that helped Argentavis to survive.
And of course, did Argentavis and Phorusrhacidae, they lived in about the same location, but this dynamic is just completely made up, because the Argentavis and the Phorusrhacidae did not coexist with each other. They lived in completely different time periods, so joke's on you.
It only needed between 2.5 and 5 kilograms, 5.5 to 11 pounds of meat each day. For its size, that's a relatively small amount. So what do we have in the end? Argentavis had no threats in the air. It could hover safely for hours and wait for its flightless counterpart to leave him something for lunch.
Leave him something for lunch, okay. Damn.
And it was satisfied with little, thanks to its amazing energy efficiency. Low food consumption and special mode of hunting of Argentavis led paleontologists to the hypothesis that this bird was also relatively long-lived.
Okay.
It is now believed that
it actually coexisted with another predatory bird Devicentia from Uruguay, or as you can see here, in Argentina. If you're going to talk about a creature that actually terrible that actually coexisted with Argentavis, is Devicentia. So it was probably the biggest threat that the Argentavis that the Argentavis faced. So instead of talking about Phorusrhacidae, just talk about something like the Devicentia. It was potentially the largest Phorusrhacidae? It actually had to compete with its size. It's comparable to the Galenkin. But its size is definitely comparable to that, the Galenkin.
Its lifespan.
So ironically enough, this guy is actually saying an accurate thing, but at the same time, it's not Phorusrhacidae, it's Devicentia.
And amounted to at least several decades. Thus, Argentavis survived, according to the so-called K strategy. Let's explain a little bit what that is. The K strategy is living within the boundaries of one's ecosystem without changing numbers. The number of specimens is determined by the food reserves in the ecosystem. With this strategy, a small, stable population of scavengers has a good chance of survival. Argentavis laid 1 or 2 eggs every 2 years, so it had few nestlings. According to the K strategy, they stayed with their parents and
come on, man. Always with the... Just, at this point, just, why? There's nothing else to put here. More, every single thing here, at one point, is just going to have AI. I don't know, I don't have good hopes for paleontology videos made in 2025, to be honest.
Until they learn to find food on their own. With this reproductive rate, the number of other species did not increase, but neither did it decrease, since Argentavis died mostly from old age and diseases. Other causes accounted for no more than 2% of the death rate. Although Argentavis was undoubtedly a successful predator, this did not save the species from extinction. It did not survive to the Pliocene, and today, only fossils of millions of years old prove its existence. At this point, we finished talking about flying and non-flying prehistoric birds. At this point, we finished.
Why don't you just show an AI vulture instead? Because the Argentavis is a vulture. So, okay.
Finished talking about flying and non-flying prehistoric birds. It's time to move on to the most interesting animals after the dinosaurs, the mammals. One of the most interesting ones is Platybelodon. It belongs to the genus of Gomphotherium, extinct proboscidean.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I've ran out of memes at this point, and my brain just feels so empty. It just... This is not... This is an amebellodontid. Platybelodon is an amebellodontid. Where did you... Okay. It's now considered a distinct family as of 2023. This is not 2020. This is 2024. I can forgive it if it's like 2014 or so, but this is 2024 we're talking about. And so it's just I have absolutely no words for this one.
Relatives of modern elephants. They lived in Africa, Eurasia, and North America during the Miocene and Pliocene eras more than 15 million years ago. In the Pleistocene epoch, after the merger of North and South America, the faunas of the continents mixed.
The Great American Migration. By the way, the Platybelodon lived 15 to 10 million years ago, in parts of Asia and the Caucasus.
The Great American Interchange took place, and so Gomphotherium got to South America as well.
Is it we're talking about the Gomphotherium. Okay. The Gomphotherium actually lived in Eurasia, Africa, and North America. It lived in the early Miocene to early Pliocene. Are we talking about that?
The only territories they couldn't reach were Australia and Antarctica.
I thought we were talking about Platybelodon. Bro, suddenly just switched topics to Gomphotherium.
Gomphotherium reached the peak of its diversity in the late Miocene and became extinct in the Pleistocene. Externally, the Platybelodon looked very much like an elephant. It had 2 upper and 2 lower
Oh. Bro literally just suddenly talks about the Gomphotherium and then the Platybelodon.
tusks. But unlike modern elephants, its upper tusks were bent downwards. Science doesn't know the reason for this, although there must be a reason. We know that evolution doesn't tolerate useless things. However, the upper tusks are not the most interesting thing about Platybelodon. These bizarre mammals became known for their 2 tusks on the lower jaw. They were without enamel, broad, and flattened horizontally, which gave them a resemblance to the blade of a bayonet shovel. In 1936, when describing Asian specimens of the genus Platybelodon, the famous paleontologist Henry Fairfield Osborn was the first to compare the lower pair of tusks to a coal shovel. The comparison became firmly rooted, and Platybelodon has since been often referred to as a shovel-tusked Gomphotherium. Today, of all the proboscideans, Gomphotherium still remains the most popular object of study for paleontologists.
It's called a proboscidean. When can the blatant mispronunciation stop, man? They're just absolutely insane. They're just, I don't even know what to say about them anymore. It's just absolutely outrageous, man. I give up. I genuinely give up.
The main mystery of Platybelodon is the purpose of the shovel-shaped armament of the lower jaw. Presumably, it has something to do with feeding, but it is not known exactly how it was used. Accordingly, it is not clear what the Platybelodon fed on. It was assumed that the lower tusks were used as a shovel for digging and raking plants. There was also a version of cutting leaves off branches from trees. Another hypothesis was raking algae from the bottom of the freshwater lakes. There was also an opposite conclusion. Platybelodon did not use its bone shovels at all when eating. But the hypothesis of a shovel for algae was supported by a lot of scientists. Specific wear, which was explained by the abrasive effect of sand and clay on the shoals.
So, I guess this video is trying to redeem itself. Okay. We're just 4 minutes to the end, and this bingo card is just absolutely insane.
Supported him. This is how he was drawn everywhere. Digging in a...
He was drawn everywhere. It was drawn everywhere. Why are you referring to these prehistoric creatures as a he?
Aquatic and...
It just doesn't make that much sense.
Coastal vegetation. After this hypothesis, it would seem everything calmed down, disputes quieted. But in 1992, the scientific world was shaken up by the work of paleontologist David Lambert. According to the results of the study with the use of modeling, he concluded the lower jaw cut bark and branches. Later, having examined the microlayer of the surface of the tusk shovels, the Chinese scientists came to the same conclusion. Moreover, they noted that adult Platybelodons ate coarser food.
Okay.
Well, it looks like it's time to depict Platybelodons at lunch in a dense tropical forest.
Right. This doesn't seem AI generated. Because they're just way too consistent. Okay.
Although,
fine.
We cannot say for sure that the search for the truth has come to an end.
well, because this is paleontology we're talking about, we gotta, talk about a lot of ecology and all that, biodiversity and all that in ancient times, which is just not given enough credit because of channels like Riveton. No offense, bro, but like, we gotta talk. Like, paleontology is much richer. Once again, paleontology is much richer than just bigger means better. Well, and Riveton just kind of just bigger means better, a lot.
Finally, we invite you to learn about the fascinating discovery story of another predator that lived in Central Asia during the mid and late Eocene epoch, about 45 to 36 million years ago. The world learned about Andrewsarchus from a skull discovered in Mongolia.
Andrewsarchus. It's called Andrewsarchus, but this is, again, an acceptable pronunciation, as you can see here.
Andrewsarchus, 6 million years ago.
It actually lived around 48 to 38 million years ago. More specifically, 47.8 to 37.71 million years ago.
The world learned about Andrewsarchus from a skull discovered in Mongolia. It was found by an expedition led by the American scientist, paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews in Inner Mongolia in 1923.
Okay.
The skull was found in the Erden Manga sediments formed at the end of the mid-Eocene. At first it was thought that the skull belonged to a giant suiforms from the Entelodonte group. These are extinct mammalian predators with a body resembling a bull and a head resembling a boar.
But eventually it is now just more closely related to hippos than actual pigs.
We immediately recall the ancient Greek myths about the Minotaur, right? However, this hypothesis didn't last long.
This is Andrewsarchus. This is, back then paleontology wasn't as advanced, so it's okay to make mistakes.
A year later, the above-mentioned paleontologist Henry Fairfield Osborn determined the found skull belonged to a predator from the family Mosasaurus. He also described the new predator and named it Andrewsarchus.
1924 was when Andrewsarchus was described.
In honor of Roy Osborn, determined this hypothesis didn't last long.
Hold on.
A year later,
okay.
from the family Mosasaurus. He also described the new predator and named it Andrewsarchus in honor of Roy Andrews, the head of the expedition that found the skull. When
Mesosaurus, which Andrewsarchus no longer belongs to.
reconstructing Andrewsarchus, it was found that its body length was 3.8 to 4.5 meters, 12.5 to 13.1 feet, and its tail was 1.5 meters, 5 feet long. The weight of this ancient predator could have exceeded a ton, 2,200 pounds, considering that it had a skull 83 centimeters, 2.7 feet long, and 56 centimeters, 0.85 feet.
56 centimeters is 1.84 feet. Not 0. Oh my goodness. 0 in the keyboard is so damn far away from 1. It's just, I don't even know how this guy committed such a careless mistake.
Wide, we can consider Andrewsarchus the largest terrestrial carnivorous mammal that ever lived. There is something mystical about the look of the Andrewsarchus.
Andrewsarchus might have actually been an omnivore.
Look at this beast. What does it remind you of? Think of horror movies about werewolves. There is a certain resemblance, right? It is safe to say that in terms of frightening appearance, it was a worthy heir to the Tyrannosaurus.
Oh no. Once again, we gotta mention the T-Rex.
There is one unpleasant thing about the story of Andrewsarchus. Almost 100 years have passed since the skull was found, but nothing else has ever been discovered.
Okay.
Excavations are continuing all over the world, but there are no more skulls, let alone a whole skeleton. It's pretty strange and brings up some thoughts. Maybe there was no such species.
But the fossils are there, which make it actually existed. It actually existed. What even is this statement supposed to be about? This is just we're just 20 seconds away from this video ending, and bro, I had to come up with a stupidly ridiculous statement.
Maybe it was the skull of some anomalous Mosasaurus, another extinct mammal, which is far less mysterious. Of course, this can't be a final conclusion, but not a single bone in 100 years? There is definitely plenty of food for thought.
Man, this video is just absolutely god-awful, and I don't know why this is...
Most compelling hypothesis.
Is there a megalodon?
Predator that...
No, I don't think there's a megalodon. Okay. There's no Titanoboa, which is surprising. No Arthropleura, no Dunkleosteus. And, okay. Let's just end this video over here with whatever we circled. You know, I still don't really know what to do with videos that actually got a bingo. This has too. This is just extremely stacked. Circle 12. This is just the epitome of a horrible paleontology video. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy. I'll see you on next one.